Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live with Status Coup. It is Thursday, October 13th, the year 2022. Hope everybody's having a lovely day in these trying times. Let me move that. I am live earlier today. We will have our normal live stream at 5 o'clock Eastern time, but wanted to come live earlier. While I was live yesterday, some of this broke, so I didn't really have much time to look into it to kind of dig deeper. So I wanted to come live because there's several new developments regarding former President Trump, the hiding of classified documents down at Maralago, and there's also new developments when it comes to the January 6th hearings. The final hearing, or we think the final hearing, will be at 1 o'clock Eastern today. So in about an hour and a half will be the last January 6th hearing. So we'll have news on that before that hearing. But the main news is in regards to Trump and the classified documents. Before I get to that, smash the like button, share this live stream. The more people that press like, the more people that will see this very live stream. I'm not usually live this early, but there was a lot to get to. And this is really, really critical in terms of Trump being prosecuted, which at this point, I think there's overwhelming evidence to prosecute him. But more importantly than if he's prosecuted, which I think he will be, if you're going to convict Trump, particularly a former president, the DOJ, the FBI would need evidence that he was directly involved with concealing these classified documents, that he was directly involved with potentially moving them and trying to hide them. You would need evidence that Trump was potentially involved in getting other people to conceal and hide on his behalf. And new reporting indicates he was directly involved. As we've covered this over the last few weeks and months, it's clear that the Department of Justice, FBI are strategically leaking new information. Well, it could be new information, or it could be information that they've had all along that they've been waiting to drop. But they've been strategically leaking information to the Washington Post, the New York Times, kind of tag teaming with those outlets. Well, this new drop is pretty major. And frankly, if it was anybody else in America, it's very likely that they already would have been prosecuted. So one more time, smash that like button, share this live stream. Again, it makes a big difference. So let's start with the Washington Post story. This is dropped while I was live yesterday. Headline: Trump worker told the FBI about moving Maralago boxes on the ex-president's orders. Key witness and security camera footage offer evidence of Trump's actions after government subpoena. People familiar say. People familiar, meaning the witnesses who tipped off the FBI in the first place. A Trump employee has told federal agents about moving boxes of documents at Maralago at the specific direction of the former president, according to people familiar with the investigation, who say the witness account, combined with security camera footage, offers key evidence of Donald Trump's behavior as investigators sought the return of classified material. The witness description and footage described to the Washington Post offer the most direct account to date of Trump's actions and instructions leading up to the FBI's August 8th search of the Florida residence and private club, in which agents were looking for evidence of potential crimes, including obstruction, destruction of government records, or mishandling classified information. The people familiar with the investigation said agents have gathered witness accounts indicating that after Trump advisors received a subpoena in May for any classified documents that remained at Maralago, Trump told people to move the boxes to his residence at the property. That description of events was corroborated by the security camera footage, which showed people moving the boxes, said the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss an ongoing investigation. Spokesperson for the Justice Department and FBI declined to comment. Gotta love that. That's how you know they're the ones who leaked this. Trump spokesperson Taylor Budowich declined to answer detailed questions for the article and basically blamed it on the Biden administration, calling all of this a hoax. Shock. Quote, the Biden administration has weaponized law enforcement and fabricated a document hoax in a desperate attempt to retain political power. Buttigieg said in a statement, every other president is giving time and deference regarding the administration of documents, as the president has the ultimate authority to categorize records and what material should be classified. So obviously this is kind of nonsense here. I mean, how much time and deference can you give someone? The National Archives was basically haggling and negotiating with Trump's lawyers. Please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, can you give us these documents back for over a year? And of course, then a subpoena was issued once the FBI was tipped off to this, once the DOJ was tipped off to this. So they tried basically for a year and a half to get these documents back from Trump. He was given more deference than I think anyone else would have. And most other presidents, even most of the corrupt ones, because they're all corrupt in a certain way, would have probably given back the documents if they had taken any at all. Buttigieg accused the Justice Department of a, quote, continued effort to leak misleading and false information to partisan allies in the fake news. So who knows? Trump might have written that. I want to get to, let me read. The employee who is working at Maralago is cooperating with the Justice Department and has been interviewed multiple times by federal agents, according to the people familiar with the situation, who declined to identify the worker. Well, if he's caught on camera moving the boxes, I would think he would cooperate if he's not insane and doesn't want to face prison time. So this worker is very likely, has turned on Trump. In the first interview, the people said the witness denied handling sensitive documents or the boxes that might contain such documents. But as they gathered evidence, agents decided to re-interview the witness, and the witness story changed dramatically. These people said. In the second interview, the witness described moving boxes at Trump's request. Again, if it's caught on, if they got the security camera footage showing it, obviously the witness was caught kind of dead to rights. The witness is now considered a key part of the Maralago investigation, these people said, offering details about the former president's alleged actions and instructions to subordinates that could have been an attempt to thwart federal officials' demands for the return of classified government documents. Multiple witnesses have told the FBI they tried to talk Trump into cooperating with the National Archives and Records Administration and the Justice Department, as those agencies for months sought the return of sensitive or historical government records. People familiar with the matter said. Former president was adamant in private conversations that he would resist these efforts. Among the chief proponents of the cooperation strategy was Alex Cannon, a Trump lawyer who repeatedly argued his client should hand the documents back. People familiar with the matter said. My guess is people familiar with the matter said is Alex Cannon, the Trump lawyer. A little media trick in terms of when they say people familiar with the matter right after naming someone. It's typically that person. But entreaties from advisors and lawyers fell on deaf ears with Trump, who grew even angrier this spring after a House Oversight Committee investigation was launched, telling aides they'd screwed up the situation, according to people who heard the comments. I want to move down to this part because this is pretty critical. Colin, if you could move down to in response to that subpoena. So after the subpoena was sent to Trump to return all the classified documents, in response to that subpoena, Trump's advisors met with government agents and prosecutors at Maralago in early June, handing over a sealed envelope containing another 38 classified documents, including 17 marked top secret, according to court papers. According to government filings, Trump's representatives claimed at the meeting that a diligent search had been conducted for all classified meetings at the club. That meeting, which included a visit to the storage room where Trump's advisors said the relevant boxes of documents were kept, did not satisfy investigators who were not allowed to inspect the boxes they saw in the storage room, according to government court filings. 5 days later, senior Justice Department official Jay Bratt wrote to Trump's lawyers to remind them that Maralago, quote, does not include a secure location authorized for the storage of classified information. Bratt wrote that it appears classified documents, quote, have not been handled in an appropriate manner. This part right here is critical to the obstruction of justice. Trump's lawyers, and presumably Trump was involved with this, when the Department of Justice lawyers came down, when FBI agents came down, said everything is right here in this storage area, but they wouldn't let them look in the storage area. Well, security camera footage with a witness who was moving the boxes shows they lied. They moved those boxes from that storage area, presumably that had classified information in them, to Trump's residence, his office. So they lied to the FBI, they lied to the DOJ, and at Trump's direction, according to this witness, he moved the boxes after the subpoena. So, I mean, that's pretty black and white. There's really no gray area. Even the most, dedicated Trump cultists can say, well, it's deep state. They're making it up. The witnesses are making it up. Are they going to then say that this is a deep fake? This security camera is fake? Footage is fake? I mean, maybe Trump will say that. I don't know. I mean, it is Donald Trump. But that's pretty dead to rights that DOJ lawyers come down, FBI agents come down, the lawyers show them the storage room. Yeah, everything's here, all organized right in this location. No, we won't let you look in the boxes. And then you have security camera footage showing that a Trump worker was moving them at the direction of Trump. So I don't see any way, frankly, even Teflon Don, I don't see any way that he could really get out of this. There was already overwhelming evidence, but this is kind of on top of the evidence that already existed, overwhelming evidence that he was trying to obstruct. And frankly, from reports we're reading, Trump seemed very adamant about keeping these documents. And there has been reports that he wanted to do a trade. He wanted to almost barter or negotiate with the DOJ or the National Archives that I'll give you back these documents if you give me documents about the Russia investigation that he said, was a hoax. And he wanted documents about the Russia investigation so he could prove once and for all that it was a hoax. I've been on the record since the beginning. I think Russiagate was in large part a bunch of nonsense. There was never evidence that Trump's campaign worked with Russia. Frankly, Trump's campaign was too incompetent to do that. There was plenty of evidence that Donald Trump in his pre-presidency had done money laundering through Russia, through Russian oligarchs. There was evidence that Donald Trump was kissing Putin's ass rhetorically because Russia was one of his real estate empire's biggest clients. A lot of his properties are occupied by Russian oligarchs. So there was evidence that Trump had financial loyalty to Russia. But a lot of Trump's policies as president was actually not positive towards Russia, including arming Ukraine. But Trump, because obviously he wanted to expose the deep state and the hoax, there are reports that he wanted to negotiate and say, yeah, I'll give you back these documents. You give me the documents I want. But on top of this Washington Post story that exposes there was security camera footage showing that a worker moved these boxes after Trump was subpoenaed for them, i.e. hide the boxes. The New York Times has reporting on top of that, naming a worker who was moving the boxes. So it seems that, again, the DOJ, FBI is kind of leaking to both outlets. This is from the New York Times. Trump aide was seen on security footage moving boxes at Maralago. The aide, Walt Nauda, moved the boxes from a storage room before and after the Justice Department issued a subpoena demanding the return of all classified documents held by the former president. A long-serving aide to former President Trump was captured on security camera footage moving boxes out of a storage room at Maralago, Mr. Trump's residence in Florida, both before and after the Justice Department issued a subpoena in May, demanding the return of all classified documents, according to three people familiar with the matter. The footage showed Walt Nauda, a former military aide who left the White House and then went to work for Trump at Maralago, moving boxes from a storage room that became the focus of the Justice Department's investigation. The inquiry is centered on whether Trump improperly kept national security records after he left the White House and obstructed the government's repeated efforts to get them back. As part of its investigation, the Justice Department has interviewed Nauda on several occasions, according to one of the people. Those interviews started before the FBI executed a search warrant at Maralago on August 8th and carted off more than 11,000 documents, including about 100 that bore classification markings. Nauta has answered questions, but is not formally cooperating with the investigation of Trump's handling of the documents. His lawyer declined to comment, and Trump's spokesperson said that this is the Biden administration, quote, colluding with the media, blah, 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 blah. The Washington Post reported on Wednesday that Trump directed an employee who had been interviewed by the FBI to move boxes at Maralago. It's not clear whether that employee was Mr. Nauta, and a person familiar with the matter and with Mr. Trump's orbit said it could be a different staff member. My guess is the New York Times knows that who it was and that it was this Nauta. But regardless, whether it was this one guy, it would be even worse for Trump if they have multiple people moving these boxes, because clearly I could promise you the subpoena said, do not move any of this material. It needs to be sent back immediately, and it should not be moved if you're saying it's just in one central storage location. Let me continue. Top Justice Department official told Trump's lawyers in recent weeks that the department believed he had still not returned all the documents. It's unclear if the boxes that were moved were among the material later received by the FBI. The National Archives, the federal agency that oversees presidential records, spent much of 2021 attempting to retrieve boxes of records that its officials had been told were in the White House residence at the end of the Trump presidency. Some of Trump's advisors tried to facilitate their return. One lawyer for Trump, Alex Cannon, told Trump to ship the boxes back as they were instead of going through them, and that the archivist would return whatever was personal property. Two people briefed on the matter said. My strong guess is Cannon is one of the witnesses. I said all along that it was either a lawyer for Trump or multiple lawyers for Trump or Secret Service agents that flipped on Trump. And it sounds from the reporting here that Cannon might have been one of the witnesses that tipped off the FBI and DOJ. Mr. Cannon told Mr. Trump aides not to go through the boxes because it was unclear what was in them, and the materials might require security clearances. Trump instead went through the boxes himself in December, according to a person familiar with the move, and the archive sent people to retrieve 15 of them a month later. When they got the boxes, they found 184 classified documents, prompting alarm. The Justice Department subsequently began an investigation and quickly concluded Trump might have not returned all the material in possession when he returned over 15 boxes in January. So I want to go down a little bit to Mr. Trump's team also provided, if you could go down there. Mr. Trump's team also provided the department's National Security Division in June with a written statement on behalf of his office by one of Trump's lawyers who was serving as the formal custodian of the filings. While that person's name has been redacted in government filings, people familiar have identified her as Christina Bobb. The Justice Department subsequently obtained a subpoena for security camera footage from inside Maralago, and documents filed in the case disclosed that the department has been working with multiple civilian witnesses before it sought the search warrant used to carry out the search of Maralago. Why that's important is this Christina Bobb, who recently spoke with the Justice Department. She's a Trump lawyer. She's a former anchor on OANN, which is like, if Fox News is like kind of kooky, crazy, OANN is like the carnival version of Fox News. It's way out there. I think it's been removed actually from a lot of cable carriers. But she put in writing, certified that we'd given all the materials back. Apparently, after that, Trump was ordering one worker or multiple workers move these boxes to my residence. So I don't know if Christina Bobb, after writing that, was aware that Trump was doing that. Who knows? And according to the New York Times, workers were moving the boxes before the subpoena and after the subpoena. So it's pretty, I mean, this is kind of dead to rights kind of stuff. You can't get any more evidence than security camera footage. And obviously, multiple people inside Trump's world are cooperating as witnesses. Let me show some responses here. This is from Ryan Goodman. He's a former special counsel with the Defense Department. Astonishing level of evidence that would convince jurors. Witnesses have told federal investigators after subpoena for classified documents, Trump told people to move boxes to his residence at the property, corroborated by the security camera footage. He goes on in the second tweet. I'll wait for you, Colin. Sorry. A key witness, a Trump employee, has told federal agents about moving boxes of documents at Maralago at the specific direction of the former president. And this right here is very important. He reminds people, reminder of how the Department of Justice set out some of this obstructive conduct in court filings responding to Trump's motion for a special master and return of property. Let me click on this. After further, this is from one of the court filings. After further investigation indicated that the response to the subpoena was incomplete, that obstructive conduct occurred in connection with the response to the subpoena, and the classified information remained at the premises. DOJ obtained a court-authorized search warrant. Through further investigation, the FBI uncovered multiple sources of evidence indicating that the response to the May 11th subpoena was incomplete and that the classified documents remained at the premises, notwithstanding the sworn certification made to the government on June 3rd. In particular, the government developed evidence that a search limited to the storage room would not have uncovered all the classified documents at the premises, even after they were told on June 3rd, yeah, everything is in the storage room. The government also developed evidence that government records were likely concealed and removed from the storage room, and that efforts were likely taken to obstruct the government's investigation. That evidence clearly is the security camera footage showing workers for Trump moving boxes. You got to really wonder, who are these people that are willing to just go to prison for this fucking imbecile? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I'll show another. This is from Andrew Weissman, who spent 20 years at the Department of Justice. Between this and the testimony of Alex Cannon is Trump's lawyer, one of Trump's lawyers. Trump's Maralago goose is cooked. As I have often said, the issue is no longer the proof, but DOJ's will. Trump worker told FBI about moving Maralago boxes on Trump's order. And by the way, folks, smash that like button. We got almost 200 watching. Only 85 have pressed the like button. So please press the like button if you can. Let me show. This is from Barbara MacLeod. She's a U.S. attorney. Moving documents to hide them from the DOJ is the kind of aggregating factor that would make Trump's conduct an indictable offense. I would say so. I would say so. I got to tell you, I mean, obviously, everything has become a partisan issue. Trump has his loyal cultists who possibly there could be video of him shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue. They might not give a damn. But in terms of legality, I mean, at this point, it really is, does DOJ, does FBI have the stomach? Do they have the stomach to go after the former president? Prosecute him, have the spectacle of a trial, obviously have the very likelihood of an increase of political violence, which could happen as a result of him being prosecuted. I mean, we saw political violence happen after the search. We saw a Trump supporter attack the FBI office in Cincinnati, and there was a shootout. We saw others get arrested, threatening the FBI. On behalf of Trump after the Maralago search. You know, I hope political violence doesn't happen, but we see, I mean, the country's a powder keg, let's face it. So there's overwhelming evidence to prosecute him. If it were you or I, we would have been locked up long ago for any of this. I think at this point, the security camera footage really makes it, and this information coming out, it almost makes it impossible for them not to prosecute him, because how do you have credibility? How do you have credibility by saying nobody is above the law? Which, trust me, we live in the United Corporations of America. If you're a banker, you are above the law. If you're a fossil fuel executive, you are above the law. In most cases, if you're a pharmaceutical executive, you are above the law. In most cases, if you're a Silicon Valley executive, you're above the law. So this is not like rah rah DOJ and FBI. We definitely have two legal systems in this country. Actually, we have three, if you want to say one for powerful white men and women, one for kind of middle class, if we even have a middle class anymore, and one for Black, brown, and indigenous people. With that said, you really can't have credibility as a Department of Justice if all of this comes out and you just say, all right, well, we wanted to make everyone aware. This was a transparency exercise, but we're not going to set the precedent of prosecuting a former president. So I think he's going to be prosecuted. I think there's overwhelming evidence. Before I found it doubtful that he might actually be convicted. The thing is, we don't even know if this is everything. We don't know if this is everything. There might be more that is not out there, because if you've been following this story, it's drip, drip, drip. They seem to be releasing things in stages. So there might be more. There might be more. If you're a cop, you're definitely above the law. That's true. And it's possible that Trump tries to settle in some way. Obviously, he has, other investigations into him in Georgia, in the state of New York. The January 6th hearing, might be the final January 6th hearing, is coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern today. The DOJ is investigating January 6th and Trump's ties. It might be that he tries to make a deal to avoid prison time. Says he won't run. Who knows? It's obviously speculation at this point. But, it's overwhelming evidence that he obstructed justice, that he tried to hide these documents, and people are singing. If you watch The Sopranos, the mob, they'll do anything to avoid their people, singing to the cops, singing to the lawyers. And some of Trump's witnesses, some of Trump's people are singing like a bird to the law enforcement. And you know what? Honestly, in terms of Trump's crimes, because there are many of them over the years, I don't even know if the classified documents is the worst, but it's the easiest to prove. This is the easiest to prove because you have the witnesses, you have security camera footage, and you have the timeline. So we'll see what happens. Moving on, and smash that like button, share this live stream. By the way, just so you know, the Amazon election in Albany. Remember, I covered the rally in Albany. When was that? Monday, I think it was. I went up to Albany, covered the rally. That whole live stream is up on the channel, so check it out. The union election started yesterday. It continues today, tomorrow, and early next week. I'm already getting reports that Amazon is trying to obstruct the union election and prevent workers at ALB1, which is the warehouse in Albany that's trying to unionize. Obstruct workers from serving as legal observers, which is against the National Labor Relations Act. They have a right, workers have a right to observe the election and make sure Amazon isn't rigging it. So currently, we're getting reports that Amazon is basically threatening workers. Yeah, no, we're not giving you, we're not going to allow you to serve as legal observers. We're not going to give you, paid time to do it. We're not going to give you unpaid time to do it. And almost threatening their jobs. If they do it, you might get fired. So I'll have updates on that throughout the day. You can follow my Twitter. But Tina and Ron will be live at 5 o'clock. Tina Desiree Berg and Ron Placone will be live at 5 o'clock. So they'll have updates on that as we get them. So smash that like button. I want to touch on one more thing before we go. The January 6th hearing is at 1 o'clock Eastern today. We're told that there's going to be more evidence of Trump's direct involvement pre-January 6th. This is from the Washington Post. New evidence to show Trump was warned of violence on January 6th. The January 6th Select Committee's hearing on Thursday at 1 o'clock is expected to corroborate parts of the most startling accounts of the day. The likely final public hearing of the House Committee investigating the January 6th attack is expected to highlight newly obtained Secret Service records showing how Trump was repeatedly alerted to brewing violence that day, and he still sought to stoke the conflict, according to 3 people briefed on the records. During Thursday's hearing, the committee plans to share new video footage and internal Secret Service emails that appear to corroborate parts of the most startling inside accounts of the day, said the people briefed, who, like others, spoke to the Washington Post on the condition of anonymity. Former White House aide Cassie Hutchinson testified in June that Trump was briefed on January 6th that some of his supporters were armed for battle, demanded they be allowed into his rally, and insisted he wanted to lead them on the march to the Capitol. Surveillance footage the committee plans to share was taken near the ellipse at the Capitol that morning before Trump's speech and shows throngs of his supporters clustered just outside the corralled area for the Stop the Steal rally. Secret Service offers screened those entering who sought to get closer to the stage. Law enforcement officials who were monitoring video that morning spotted Trump supporters with plastic shields, bulletproof vests, and other paramilitary gear. And some in the Secret Service concluded they stayed outside the rally area to avoid having their weapons confiscated. Other internal emails likely to be revealed at the hearing further buttress accounts about staff members warning Trump about the risk and then the reality of violence that day as he continued to press nervous Secret Service agents to take him to the Capitol to join his supporters marching there. After being alerted to violence erupting at the Capitol when he returned to the White House, Trump tweeted criticism of Vice President Pence for not blocking the certification of the election, whipping up supporters who had already trampled over security barricades and were battling police to break into the halls of Congress. The newly obtained Secret Service records are just part of a larger hearing in which the committee hopes to summarize and remind the American public of all the ways Trump is said to have played a central role in fomenting a violent insurrection at the Capitol. So, obviously, I mean, that is stuff we kind of already know. I mean, it's clear. It's already known that Trump was warned repeatedly about January 6th. I think what really will be different about this hearing, depending on the footage, is what the footage shows. And if the text messages from Secret Service agents indicate any involvement from Trump himself in terms of stoking the violence. So, you know, I haven't really watched these hearings in full. I'll try to watch this hearing at 1 o'clock. I'm also doing some writing for my book that I'm working on Flint. But honestly, I think Trump is getting it through all directions here. It is possible that he's prosecuted for multiple things. If this hearing shows more direct involvement from Trump, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. So we'll see. I also think very possible that all of this combined, the classified document stuff, January 6th stuff, leads Trump to announce he's running for president before the midterms. Because in Trump's brain, which if you know anything about Donald Trump, he doesn't really think about the long term, only focuses on the short term. That's his MO. In Trump's brain, narrative wise, if he's already barnstorming the country, you know, doing his rallies, you know, trying to make America great again, whatever it is, and he's then prosecuted, he could really gin up his base. This is the deep state trying to stop our movement from retaking America, and really set up that narrative of him as the victim of multiple hoaxes, blah, 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 which, frankly, if you've seen what's transpired over the last few years, could create a violent situation of political violence if Trump is egging his supporters to defend him against these hoaxes against him, whether it's the classified documents or the January 6th. If he's going to be, my guess, if he's going to be prosecuted on anything, it's going to be the classified documents. January 6th, I mean, he could be prosecuted. I don't really know what the DOJ is doing on that front, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that it's a bad situation for Trump. It's definitely on the classified documents front. It's a very bad situation. This may even get Trump reelected. Maybe. If it's Biden, maybe. I think Biden, with inflation as it is, I think I don't see inflation getting any better. New numbers came out today. Inflation is still increasing. It's not getting any better, really. I think if it's Biden versus Trump, I don't think Biden would easily win re-election. But Donald Trump, as much as he cares about power, there's one thing he cares about more: never seeing the inside of a prison cell. So I think that it might come, if Donald Trump is prosecuted, it might come down to him making a deal that he won't run again, so he doesn't have to see prison time and paying some kind of pretty hefty fine. That's my guess, because I think Donald Trump, yes, he wants attention. Yes, he wants power. Yes, he's a megalomaniac. He is also a pretty pretty much a big, P word, and he's not gonna allow himself to go to prison, I don't think. So yes, it is greedflation. As we've covered multiple times here, the majority of inflation is corporations, United Corporations of America, price gouging you. And since we don't have any actual laws against that, and our politicians are bought by the corporations price gouging you, it continues, especially at the pump, which there is no reason for prices to be what they are. Also, at your grocery store, there's zero reason for prices to be what they are. Corporations are not just passing on higher costs to you, they're price gouging. So that's all I got. Let me read some super chats if we have any. Humorous, $5. As always, much better reporting and journalism comes from this channel than any other corporate media channel. Thank you. And by the way, again, when I just went up to Albany to cover the rally for Amazon workers rallying before their union election, there was not one national reporter there. Not one. Just me. So that's you guys funding Status Coup. So if you're not yet a Status Coup member, consider supporting our on-the-ground reporting. It's so important. Frankly, there's not a lot of outlets, corporate or independent, that get out there, cover union drives, cover workers on strike, cover water contamination and water poisoning. We're still covering the Flint water crisis. We're still covering the Flint cover-up. I'm actually working on a book on it now. I plan on going back to Flint, hopefully soon. So there's a lot of stuff we're trying to cover, but we need funding to do it. So consider signing up, statuscoup.com/join. You could become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. It makes a huge, huge difference. Thanks for the super chat. Danny D, $2. Appreciate it. All right. I think that's all I got. We'll be live again at 5 o'clock Eastern with Ron Placone and Tina Desiree Berg co-hosting. Right after that will be Tina's Right-Wing Insanity Report. She's got a great show coming up. So 5 o'clock Eastern with Ron and Tina. And then right after that at 6 o'clock is Tina's Right-Wing Insanity Report. Thank you very much. Again, support us if you can. Statuscoup.com/join. And I will see you guys a little bit later. Take care.